All right, guys, let's talk about wholesalers. Now, at the beginning of this module, I told you I get about 30% of my deals a year from wholesalers. 30% of the deals that I've done over the last 6 years are from wholesalers. So let's really talk about what a wholesaler is. And I'm not talking like Costco and Sam's Club as far as wholesaling. It's a whole different term in real estate. So a wholesaler is a middleman. They are somebody that goes and finds properties, distressed sellers. They are busting their tails to follow every single lead that they can. They are the ones that are sending out the yellow letters. They're the ones putting the signs on the telephone posts saying, "I buy houses fast with cash." They're the ones that they're in Craigslist selling the too good to be true house. The one where the numbers look, oh my gosh, there's a 3,000 square foot property on the lake for $7. That's too good to be true, right? So that's what wholesalers are doing. They're going through 100 houses, 200 houses, talking with multiple sellers to find deals. And then they lock them up. They get them under contract. But they don't have any intention to close on those contracts. What they want to do, they want to find you, the real estate investor, to buy that house from them. Now, they're not a realtor, but what they're doing is they're assigning their interest in that contract. They're assigning their legal rights to that contract to you for a fee. Now, over the last 3 years, I've paid wholesalers over $1 million for deals. Over $1 million. Why do I do that? Because they bring me deals. And they're only getting paid if it's a deal for me. So you have to remember that. If it's a deal for you, what the wholesaler's making doesn't matter. Just talking about realtors who are bringing you pocket listings, a wholesaler's fee shouldn't matter. It's what the numbers are for you. Now, there's a lot of things to understand about wholesalers. It's different than looking at properties in the MLS. It's different than being protected by realtors and realtor contracts. A lot of times with wholesalers, you have zero due diligence. That means that once you sign that contract and you give them the earnest money deposit to put down on the house, if you don't close on that house, your money's gone. Okay? So there's some risk with this. But typically, a wholesaler will allow you to complete your due diligence before you sign that contract, as long as you do it fast. Wholesalers want you to act fast. And I can guarantee you that when you start getting deals from wholesalers, they're not just sending it to you, they're sending it to other real estate investors. First one to jump on it gets it. But make sure you do your numbers first and your due diligence. There's a big game that goes on in the wholesale world, especially on Craigslist. That too good to be true $7 house. It's a way for them to build their database of buyers, their buyers list. A lot of them think they have to be hidden about it or secretive about it. And when you call them for that $7 house, they're going to say, "Oh man, that one just went under contract. But tell you what, if you give me your name and number, I'll let you know about the next one I get." And that's just part of the game. Don't take offense at it. Say, "Okay, great. Here's my name, number, company information. Send me anything you have that you get or anything that you control." And they're going to say, "Okay, great. Well, here, let me ask you a few questions." Because just like you are right now, you're going through a course on real estate investing, learning how to flip houses. A lot of wholesalers have also gone through courses, and they've been told that, hey, find out what your buyer wants to buy. Because some buyers are very specific on what they want. They limit themselves. Some of these buyers are going to want a house built after 1990, 2-car garage, minimum 4 bedrooms, with some other criteria. If it's an area only in these zip codes by this school district, some buyers are very specific. So when I have a wholesaler that starts asking me those questions, I just tell them, listen, I'll buy anything I can make money on. If you control a deal and you think it's a deal, just send it to me and I'll run my numbers on it. I want to make it as easy for you as possible, as simple as possible. If you get a deal, send it to me. All I need from you is the property address, my price, and pictures if you have them. You want to make it you want to be their best client. You want to be their best buyer. You want to be the simplest person, and you want to do what you say you're going to do also. So you just have to understand the game on wholesalers and how they work. There's a lot of wholesaler communities on Facebook where you can connect with them. I've actually bought properties from wholesalers that I have never met in person, that I've never even spoken with. They posted a deal on Facebook or Craigslist. I contacted them virtually by email or text and got the information, went back and forth with them a few times, and ended up buying the house, never even spoken with them. There's great tools out there in our current market, in our current technological world. It's amazing what you can do. You have to connect with them. So go on Facebook and type in Wholesaling Milwaukee, Wholesaling Atlanta. There's huge networks of people out there. And there's Wholesaling United States, the entire U.S. And in these Facebook groups, you can type in the search criteria. There'll be a little search bar, and you can type in the city that you're actually working in. If it's Atlanta, type in Atlanta, and it'll bring up every post on properties in Atlanta. So many ways to find deals out there. Wholesalers is a great way to find them. Now, even though I love wholesalers and I've paid them over $1 million in these last 3 years, I do not trust their ARVs, their after repair values. I do not trust their repair numbers, their estimate of the rehab. And a lot of times they even get the address wrong. So you really got to double check this. They'll spell it wrong. They'll put an extra number in there. It's just the way it is. The wholesaler, and I mean this with the most love for my wholesalers, the wholesaler is the used car salesman of the real estate world. They're out there. They're selling properties. If you want a used car, where do you go? You go to a used car salesman. If you want a used house, you go to a wholesaler. So again, what I say to my wholesalers, send me any deal you have control of. All I need is the address, my price, and pictures if you have them. Now that my price, it's caps underlined for a reason. Because wholesalers, remember, they're going to make an assignment fee when they send you a property or when you buy a property from them. I don't want a wholesaler telling me, hey, yeah, I've got this property under contract for $210,000. I'm looking to make $8,000 off of it, so I'll give it to you for $218,000. What happens when I run my numbers and the most I can pay for this house is $214,000? Whose money do they think that I'm knocking down? The wholesaler is going to say, oh, what a jerk. He wants me to only make $4,000 instead of the $8,000. I worked hard for this. Buddy, I know you worked hard for it, but $214,000 is just where I have to be. That's why I up front tell them, I don't care what you make. I don't care if you make $200,000 on this deal and I only make $15,000. If the numbers worked for me, cool, I'm doing it. Now, that's, broad scale there, but I've had deals where I've paid $60,000 wholesale fees and I've made $30,000. They paid twice as much as me, but I was okay with it because that $30,000 was still enough profit on that deal for me, and it was good. Now, a lot of times they will not let you know what their fee is up front, and that's fine. When you get the paperwork from them, and you want to make sure you get all the paperwork from them, there's a lot of paperwork that's involved in real estate transactions, especially when you're doing it with realtors. With wholesalers, it's a little loosey-goosey, all right? They got their forms package from a education company, or they just kind of hand wrote it themselves from something they pieced together off the internet, and it's not always that great. So you're typically going to have two things from a wholesaler. You are going to have an assignment agreement or finder's fee agreement. It'll be called a couple different things, but it's basically your agreement between you and the wholesaler saying, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars for all of your interest in this property. Now, before you sign that, you should look at the original contract, the sales contract. Now that's the contract between the wholesaler and the actual seller of the property, because you want to know what is being assigned to you, what terms you are agreeing to honor. Because when you sign that agreement with the wholesaler, you're taking over that contract. Now, if the wholesaler and the home seller agreed that the let's say that the seller wants to take all the appliances out of the house, they also want all the cabinets, and they want to live there for the next 6 months with zero rent, and the wholesaler agreed to it, guess what? You just agreed to it too. So you want to know that before you get into the final bottom line there where you've signed and agreed to it. So again, assignment fee agreement between you and the wholesaler, and then you have the contract between the wholesaler and the actual home seller. You want to look at both of these before you sign anything. So I'm making it sound a little scary because there's risk involved. As long as you do your due diligence beforehand, wholesalers are a great way to find property. Now, not all wholesalers have their own deals. We call these guys daisy chains. If they're finding a deal from another wholesaler and then bringing it to you, they don't actually control it. Remember what I said on how I talk to wholesalers? Send me any deal you control. I don't want deals on daisy chains. It gets too complicated. More often than not, they don't close because communication is bad at one point of that junction. I've seen deals that I've wholesaled come back around to me 2 or 3 steps down the line, where the wholesaler doesn't even know I'm the original person wholesaling it. And they're like, hey, Luke, this is a great deal for you. And I'm just laughing because the rehab numbers are wrong. The ARV, it's all bumped up from my original numbers. It doesn't make any sense. And these guys just, go out and do your hustle and find your own houses. I'm not a big fan of daisy chains. I can't think of one deal that I've actually closed that was a daisy chain. If you want to get into wholesaling, find your own houses. Don't just take somebody else's and try to resell that for more. Usually the numbers don't work, remember? So be prepared on that for wholesalers. Deal with the ones that actually control their properties. A lot of them will say, I control it, I'm direct to the seller, but they're not. If they can't get you pictures of the house, they most likely don't control it. And you got to do your due diligence before you sign that contract. When you're going to walk the house a wholesaler brings you, take your contractor with you right there, then and there. Okay? Get that rehab estimate. Know really what your numbers are. We'll talk more about that as we talk about contracts and due diligence in another module. EMD is typically not refundable. And again, it doesn't matter what they're making. If they're making 60 grand and you're only making 30 on it, hey, you're making 30. And I tell them, put that money to marketing, man. Appreciate what you do. Because they do a lot. They deal with angry homeowners. They get bitten by dogs. They get nasty letters in the mail. They get the cops running after them for posting their bandit signs, all kinds of things. Things I don't want to do. I am happy to pay them to do those things. So they're a great part of this business. Do not trust their ARVs. Do not trust their repairs. But if you get deals from them, look them over, do your numbers, see if it's a deal. If it's a deal, keep going with it. Do your research, get into the property, walk it. And the more wholesalers you connect with, the more chance you have of getting more deals. Every day I get deals brought to me from wholesalers. I get one's text message to me. I get one's emailed to me all the time. I had 7 brought over to me in the first 3 hours this morning. It was, good day. Now, deals from everywhere else, they're out there. There are so many ways to make deals. And really what it comes down to is you got to let people know what you're doing. You got to make offers with realtors. People will say that, I've got this investor that's looking for messed up houses. Do you have anything? They'll network for you. As you get into this business and you're using hard money, your hard money lender might have a deal that one of their other investors couldn't close. So now you get that deal. And if it works out, the numbers work, you got financing in place, boom, there's another deal for you. You should have multiple hard money lenders that you work with. title and loan officers. I've had my title agents bring me deals that have fallen out. I actually had one of my title agents send me a deal that she was just talking with a homeowner, and her parents needed to move, and the house was in bad shape. It was dated. They didn't want to fix it up. And she told my title agent that. Title agent called me an hour later and said, "Hey, Luke, are you interested in this house?" I was, and I bought it. It's a great way. The more people who know what you're doing, the more chances you have of finding houses. Probate lawyers. Probate is when somebody dies and the house is sitting there and the family needs to sell it. They want to sell it, cash it out. The probate's the lawyer's involved with it. The lawyer, he has a financial duty and a he has to understand what his clients really want. So a lot of times they just want the money as fast as possible. And that's where you can come in. You can let the probate attorney know, hey, I close fast. I'll buy a house, any condition. If you could put that on the open market, it's not going to sell. It's going to last a long time. Realtors are going to take commissions. I'll make you a fair price quickly. Try me out. Any deal you have, any property that you need, you have families that need to sell, I'd love to take a look at it. So I've bought properties through probate lawyers. I do multiple ones every year from them. Now, we haven't talked about short sales. Short sales are something you get from the realtor. And that's another property that comes out of the MLS. And I like to say a short sale is like that $100 bill that you put in that jean pocket. You forgot about it. You washed your jeans, and next season comes around, you pull those jeans on and you put your hand in your pocket. Oh, look, there's $100. That's about how long it takes for a short sale to come to fruition. Somewhere between 3 and 9 months, full season change is where a short sale will happen. Now, a short sale is when a homeowner owes more than the property is worth. Let's say they owe Bank of America $300,000. But the house, as it sits right now, is only worth $200,000. So you make an offer on the house at $170,000, $160,000, something where it makes sense for you. You're going to make profit after you fix it up. And it's you write the contract with the realtors. Realtors send it off to the bank, and it just kind of sits on the banker's desk. And it gets shuffled around. They ask for information. Goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They eventually get an appraisal. You keep going back and forth, and they come up with their number of what they want for the house, or they just accept your offer. And that takes a long time. Now, I constantly have short sale properties under contract. I couldn't tell you how many I have today on them. And each one of those properties I have earnest money on, which makes it a deal that I am vested into. And typically, that earnest money is about $1,000 is what I'll put in, $500 or $1,000, because I know that property is going to go a long time. So it takes some money to secure these properties. Now, if they're asking for $5,000 earnest money deposit, I'll only offer them $1,000, because I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm definitely interested in the house, but it's going to take a while. So here's my $1,000. Let's just keep it at that. Once we get approval, I'll give you the other $4,000. So short sales is another great way to just build your inventory stream for the future. Now, I recently saw an investor I know. He was watching the news, and there was a news story about a out-of-state owner who complained to the local news company, and they went to the house because there were squatters in the house, and the owner didn't know how to deal with them, get them out of the house, and she didn't know what to do. They got the news involved. This investor was watching the news, saw this, tracked down the house, tracked down the owner, and then bought the house from them. So that's another way you can find houses. So you got to be creative. Follow the fire reports. If a property burns, most people have insurance. They can get paid out, and you can still buy the house for cheap. It's a win-win for everybody. So you never want to, anybody get hurt, but there's ways to find houses, and you got to be creative with it. Eviction companies. Again, out-of-state landlords. I love out-of-state landlords. I buy a lot of houses from them because they get tired of being out-of-state landlords. They get tired of dealing with management companies. They get tired of dealing with broken toilets. Eviction companies are great. If you can get a friend who is at an eviction company and works for them and just say, hey, you know what? Sell me some leads, sell me some properties, whatever. Connect me with these sellers or these landlords. If they want to sell their house, I'll make them a cash offer today. Eviction companies, great resource. There's all different people out there in this real estate industry that you can connect with. The more you tell people what you are doing, the more deals you will have, and you will achieve that overflowing inbox. It's the way it works. But you have to make sure you are making offers. If you don't make offers, those deals will stop coming in from all these contacts that you've reached out for. You have to make offers. You got to let them know you're serious. That's the way that you do it. So guys, go out there, connect with as many people as you can, let them know what you're doing, and you're going to have that overflowing inbox. Good luck.